Beau Hays is visiting with us here.
Hey, welcome.
Beau, have y'all have never met?
Never met Beau.
Y'all just met. Josh and Beau.
Good to meet you.
Crazy. Never met. Never met.
Yes, sir.
So the guys at, it used to be called Church at Red River.
Okay.
Now it is, they just rebranded to City Church. And I know a lot of their people. Well, Dave Elmore, who's like just a wizard on keyboard, piano, he invited my son Carter to come shadow for a day at the worship team, right? So we show up, 7 a.m. practice, we're shadowing, but playing drums was Brent Hammett. You know Brent?
Yes.
Unbelievable musician.
Awesome.
And the sweetest guy, just a nice guy. His wife's coming on in a couple weeks. Cassie Hammett, you know Cassie?
Okay, yeah.
And Brent's just a professional drummer, tech. He just did something in Nashville at the Grand Ole Opry where he was a drum tech for they had a drumming competition. Yeah, did you see that?
Yep.
Pretty cool. So anyways, he comes out and we're sitting in between. They get done rehearsing, comes up and he says, "Hey, I just want to let you know, more than your mom listens to the podcast." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, I love it. I love you guys." Yeah.
No, I'm such a
So there we
huge fan
go.
of his.
There we go.
Yes.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
That's
how you
great.
get
Celebrity.
one at a
Yeah, we're
time,
getting those
man.
musicians, those professional musicians.
That's right. Who really
So
are
shout out to
yearning
Brent.
for small business
Yes. So
advice.
shout out to Brent. But Brent's just a jack of all trades. He's
He is.
awesome at media stuff. Just very, very artistic. Great at video. Oh my gosh,
Siri
that
agrees.
happens every time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
Beau.
I want to listen. Everybody around this orbit,
Yes.
and I'm talking about with DJ, the studio, everybody. It's just like Beau.
Beau. Yeah.
I've got
there we go.
people at my business telling me about Beau.
That's right.
Man, what do you do?
Man.
Tell me about yourself.
Well, let me tell. Let me back up to where when I first met Beau.
Yep.
November 2017, we were launching Berkshire Hathaway.
Yep.
And our office wasn't open yet.
Yep.
So we were at a meeting space in downtown Shreveport, and we hired Beau's food truck to come serve us lunch.
Yeah. Man,
And so we come out there, and we're eating lunch, and then of course Beau's just so excited about his vision and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, who is this guy?
Oh, yeah.
This ain't gonna happen,
Yep.
And because I said, our office is gonna be in the East Bank. He's like, oh yeah. And at the time, you were going to call it 301 something or Bistro, or you had some name.
This vision that we have for what the East Bank is now, has just morphed. Over the years.
Yeah.
But,
And so then I don't know. I guess it was probably a year later. Y'all launched in 2018, was it?
yeah. So we
Open
started a food truck.
Yeah, food truck.
In 2015. It was me, Peanut, and my dad. And we're just a bunch of rednecks with no education.
Was the food truck called Bojack's?
It was Bojack's Mobile Cajun Eatery.
There you go.
And so we started with that. Progressed into, we needed a commissary to work out of, so we picked up an old donut shop out on Cross Lake
For catering purposes, food prep.
Well, it started just for us to prep for the food truck.
Gotcha.
And then somehow morphed into a small 30-seat bistro. Peanut's brother manned the counter, and we picked up our first couple of employees. So we started out there.
Was that over by Ford Park, that area?
was, yeah.
That little, there's always a restaurant that's kind of going through there, that little space right there.
Only reason we had it was, it was 5 houses down from my dad's house,
there
which
you
is
go.
where we used to park the food truck.
Yeah.
And then all the neighbors called, and they were like, "You can't put that nasty looking food truck in the driveway." So, that's how we got started.
Yeah.
Progressed a little into doing the catering side of things.
So the food truck boom happened probably around that time, right? That was like a big craze, and we kind of got flooded with food trucks.
When we started, it was us and 2 other food trucks. I think there was Lucky's Po' Boys and Jester's, and I think we were just the idiots, man. We were the food truck that was set up in the rain, lightning storm, snow.
Yeah. Well, and y'all were working it too, right? Because I know a lot of the food trucks came in. It was like an investor. Hey, we want to, it's almost like an investor, and then would hire somebody to operate it. But I would imagine the margins aren't really
man,
a
for
great
us,
return.
So, my partner Peanut had been laid off. He had opened up the Rotolos for John Solomon. I was in the oil field, and I was making the most money I'd ever made in my life, and I decided it'd be a great idea to quit that, go to work with Peanut on this food truck. And the original idea was take it out to West Texas, but just what was going on in my job and quitting and the timing. We just started in the parking lot of the Family Dollar in Greenwood, and we were doing like $60 a day in sales, and 30 of that went to beer. I mean, there was no money to be made. Man,
Yeah.
my poor wife, when I told her what I was doing, because I didn't ask her, that was a mistake. But looking back, but we basically just jumped all in. I mean,
Was she working at the time?
She was cutting a little hair,
Okay.
and then she ended up getting a job with Jill's Gymnastics for a little bit.
Okay. So you're you're bootstrapping it.
Oh yeah, dude.
100%.
$450 a month rent house.
Yeah,
Kids were eating leftovers on
lot
the
of-
food truck. Peanut slept on my dad's recliner. It's and that's
Now,
what we
Peanut's
did.
your partner,
He is,
and
yeah.
he's the main. You'd say he's the chef.
I would call him the chef. It's
Okay, yeah.
a lot of menu items.
Yeah.
His creation.
yeah,
It's-
and just a great guy to be around. If you're around Peanut,
So, man, he gets to be the fun guy. I got to be the business guy. It's but man,
it works out.
You got a little yin and yang symbol.
Yeah.
hanging
You
on
got
it.
to.
It's
You got
very
to.
much like that.
The gas and the brakes.
Yeah. It's,
So so the East Bank, so I remember one time y'all had opened up, we come in there for lunch and you're like, hey, come back here, and you take me out to the back of Bojack's,
Yeah.
and we're looking at a bunch of ran down ghetto houses.
So there was a crack house behind us.
And he's like, this is going to be a live music venue, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go again.
Yeah.
All the visions, right? And now it is, right? Hurricane Alley, you've heard some bands play there?
Yes.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yes.
Man,
Yeah.
I'd say there's a
Cool.
lesson to be learned from us. Like
Yeah.
we talk about it all the time. Like how the hell did we get here?
Yeah.
There's such a thing as outsmarting yourself.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's beneficial to be the dumb guy.
Yeah.
Like because you don't analyze to death all the things that might not work out for you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
there is something to just if following what you're passionate about, just
Yeah.
jump out there, you
Yeah.
do it. You got a vision.
Yeah.
Hey, you got one life. Let's figure
Yeah.
this. Let's
Yeah.
figure this out. We can
Yeah.
make it happen.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at the East Bank now, it looks like we made all these great decisions.
Yeah.
The thing people don't see are all the decisions we
yeah.
made that
Yeah.
like
You're not putting that on
my-
Facebook.
Yeah, oh my God.
That's what I say.
How did we survive that?
Yeah. That's I always tell my guys, plan in pencil,
Yeah.
right? Like this is a pencil idea.
It
Might
is.
need to be erased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So-
you're never going to know if it works if you don't try it.
Yeah.
And I think people get really accustomed to watching what everybody else does
Yeah.
and saying, oh, that's the right way to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Man, I grew up in the corporate world in restaurants, and I mean, these big corporations, they know what they're doing. They wouldn't have all these stores if they didn't.
Yeah.
But us not knowing how to do all those things and having to figure it out for ourselves,
Yeah.
I think we have built systems within our business
Yeah.
that I think maybe work better. And so,
Yeah. Well, I think what I see is when I look at someone who starts a business and has a lot of success, what you have to fight is, what gets you there is taking these risks, and you have to fight to keep taking risk because it comes a point where you see some success. Now you want to change your philosophy to protect what you've built.
Yeah.
Right. And that's
like-
where it gets difficult. And that's where you see a lot of businesses just plateau or fail is they just stop taking those risks.
I think in a lifetime, like you hear people talk about seasons of life all the time. Well, you have your earning years. When we started doing this, we're late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
Now we're in our 40s.
Yeah.
And I have a wife.
got bills,
and
kids,
2
yeah.
And believe me, I am still wired to want to go do every
Yeah.
project there is. But you start weighing out like, okay, we're making some money.
Yeah.
We've got a decent lifestyle now.
Sure.
What is most important? Well, I missed a lot of things with my kids.
Yeah.
It's and now you couldn't pay me enough to not go spend the time
Sure.
with them.
Sure. No, I get it.
Like-
It's really
like-
being content. We talked about that on some other podcast, but when is enough?
Yeah. Well,
you know?
I think once you get a little nibble of success, it's like, man, I need more of that. It's very addictive.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, hey, I need your next thing. I want to do the next project.
Yeah.
I got a phone call
Yeah.
Tuesday that, man, that's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
And everything in me wants to jump on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's in the gym with my wife, and she's on Stairmaster.
Mm-hmm.
She's watching me while I'm on the phone getting all the information on this thing, and I'm kind of peeking over at her, and I can see her color changing, and it's just like,
Not another one.
oh man, I already know this is enough. But it doesn't mean like I don't want to do it, and so I think my new thing is. I think we've done what we're going to do in the East Bank.
Yeah.
But I still want to see the block grow.
Yeah.
And I can do that on the side. I can not jump all the way into something.
Yeah.
I can let somebody else do some of it.
Yeah.
And man, help and catch somebody up, make sure
Yeah.
they don't.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it a little bit. So you have Bojack's, which was kind of like your flagship anchor restaurant.
Yep.
And y'all, I mean, how do you track your numbers? Are you tracking just off of sales? Are you tracking how many people come in each week? Like y'all tracking those numbers?
So,
can you even track that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, like we've gotten very good at tracking.
Okay.
So first of all, the progression of the block, and we started me and Peanut and the Bojack's ownership.
Yeah.
Then next to Bayou Axe opened. And so
fun stuff. You done that, Josh? Little axe throwing.
Oh, it's a blast.
Hey, it's also another good company thing if you do a little team building.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we've done that before.
Yeah. So look, our ownership structure has grown.
Yeah.
Like more partners.
Yeah. Okay, I want to come back to that.
Okay.
Explain the rest you have. Explain the rest. So you have Bojack's, axe throwing.
Yeah, and then we teamed up. We opened Frozen P Row. And then from there, we were able to purchase the rest of 500 block. We built a music venue. We built a wedding venue.
Yep.
We leased some spaces. We brought 7 Tap Brewing down here.
And you call that
right now
you call that the chef's table, right?
Yeah.
That's your wedding venue.
Yep.
We've had parties there. In fact,
it's not just a wedding venue.
Yeah,
We've done
no.
high school
We
dances
we do our monthly sales meeting there.
Yeah.
And great team.
So that's what the East Bank looks like now. That's we're done.
And so seventh Tap, you own the building. You're leasing it to them.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And we just like those guys, man.
So you have the whole
Very
building.
much like
That was another thing you kept telling me. Oh yeah, I don't own any of this, but we're going to own all of it. I'm like, oh yeah, I bet you will.
Hey, you have to.
Because when you moved in, there was like a T-shirt shop next to you.
Oh, yeah.
There was a engineering firm.
Oh, yeah.
And like they didn't want to hear the loud music or the party. And I mean, these people have been down here for 40 years running this business. Like kind of like almost off the beaten path, right? I mean,
right.
nobody. And so then you come in and you're like staying up until 10, 11, showing LSU games. I'm sure they weren't too happy.
No, they weren't.
But the barber shop, there was a training school.
Yeah.
I heard you ran over cats one weekend.
Oh, man, we've had. You don't have a long enough podcast to go through all the crazy things we've seen, but I would say the intent for the East Bank was for this to become an entertainment district. We knew it was going that direction.
A destination point.
Yeah, and it's, man, the businesses that were here, I think were struggling a little bit anyway. Mm-hmm. Some of them have relocated and are doing much better. It's just everybody's just fell into their place.
Yeah.
But I forgot what the first question
was. So here's where I was going to talk to you, because I remember early on just recounting when you opened your restaurant, Bojack's, I remember you being like, hey, we did more in the first week than we thought we were going to do like in the first month, right?
No,
I mean, it was just like,
we were kind of
crazy numbers.
We're talking about tracking.
Yeah, tracking numbers. Then the other thing I want to talk into is partnerships, right? Because we've talked about that some on the podcast, but.
All right, so tracking wise, I'll tell you this: our first year at Bojack's, we let $600,000 worth of product walk out of the window, and we had no idea.
Okay. Because you weren't tracking your inventory.
Oh.
Or.
We had so much to learn, man. Like we we weren't able to even get an overall food cost.
Yeah.
Man, we started like this, and this is kind of
Y'all just making customers happy.
Yeah, if
it wasn't profitability.
If you're on a food truck right now and you're watching this podcast, listen to what I'm fixing to tell you.
Yes.
All right. So first thing we built an order guide.
Okay.
All right. Then we went, because we were already open. Then we went back and we took every single menu item that we had, and we started from scratch. We did what's called a build card.
Yep.
We said, hey, this is how much this liner costs. This is how much this ramekin costs. This is how much this sauce, and everything is weighed and then converted. And we built our first spreadsheet, and we figured out exactly what it cost us to make everything. And then we took what we priced it at, and we said, okay, well, this is not a healthy margin, so we made some adjustments in pricing. So that was the start of it.
Who's the big bowed up guy that turns around restaurants?
That's
He ate
he
at
was
your
here.
restaurant. Yeah. What's his? The British guy.
Gordon Ramsay?
No.
He's the one that goes in and turns
Bob.
around restaurants, and Josh will find it for us.
Kitchen Impossible?
Restaurant Impossible.
Yeah.
Restaurant Impossible.
Right.
Yeah.
he was
So what I'm thinking of is, he was in town at another restaurant, but he should have come to Bojack's the first year, it sounds
We
like.
had figured it out. The first year,
By the time he came, you had it figured out.
Yeah.
Robert Irvin. There you go. Yeah, he came to,
He was here on St. Patrick's Day like three years ago.
Yeah.
But we started doing that. Then we started figuring out that everything we were losing was in portion control. And it was simple. It was like, hey, when me and Peanut go back there and cook, we're putting the same amount of meat out, and that's what we're cooking. But a kitchen employee who doesn't care like we care, because you can't expect them to,
Yep.
is reaching over and grabbing whatever they want to and putting it on the grill, or they're putting an extra scoop, or they fill a scoop up differently. Look, I'll break down our mac and cheese, and I'll tell you how big of a difference it is.
Josh is loving this right here.
Oh, yeah.
Josh is a numbers guy.
bring it on.
Process.
All right, so here you go. We have a
The mac and cheese is great, by the way.
It's our number one seller. It's
Okay.
a crawfish pepper jack mac and cheese. It's pasta shells. You've got sauteed crawfish tails in it, and then we load it with Bourbon Street chicken, alligator andouille sausage, and blackened shrimp.
0 calories.
We we dust and put Parmesan cheese on it. Well, that's a lot of ingredients. It's a lot of movements that happen in that. But when our dishes were coming back, we would see that at the bottom of the dish there was always about an ounce of cheese left at the bottom. So one of the finishing things is you ladle the dish with cheese. We had a 6-ounce scoop that in an oblong bowl. So you would ladle across this. So when you do that, you get more cheese on the right side of the dish than you do on the left side of the dish. And we were putting 6 ounces on it. Well, we figured out we need 5 ounces. And we also want it to be distributed correctly. So we're like, well, we'll go down to a 3-ounce scoop just so we can scoop it on this half and scoop it on this half. But we're still over. And if I took the next ladle down, is a 2-ounce ladle. So if I was to use that and I was to do this side of the dish and this side of the dish, I only have 4. Now I shorted cheese. It's not the same dish.
Yeah.
Well, they don't make anything in between it. So we went and found a welder.
There you go.
We paid $17 to have a 2.5 ounce ladle made.
Yeah.
So that you get 2.5 ounces of cheese on this side, 2.5 ounces of cheese on this side. The dish balances. We didn't rob anything from the customer. That 1 ounce of cheese was always left at the bottom of the dish, no matter what.
You're like the Cajun Elon Musk over here.
Hey, look, I'm telling you, but all right. So here's the thing.
You can't find it. Just go produce it.
Here's the thing. We have our cheese sauce made now at a factory in Kenner. It's proprietary. We sell it other places.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's 23 cents for an ounce of cheese. Well, when we took the number of dishes that we did, dude, it saved us $70,000 in one year
ounce
with a $17 2.5 ounce scoop. And so when it, like portion control, when it becomes a science, and you're really tracking it, dude, that's where all your money is.
Yeah.
It's
and that's universal to any business, right? You have to be tracking numbers.
yeah,
you have to
something that small. Well, and you have to figure out how to make those numbers translate into words and action.
Yeah,
where it's like we know what to do with it.
Yeah, controllable items, right?
Yeah,
things that you can control.
Oh, and a lot of times, man, things that you think aren't controllable are. I mean, every single thing in your business is controllable.
Yeah.
So.
It's a matter of, and I was talking to someone yesterday about this at his organization. It's a matter of, and Josh uses the word integrator, right? I mean, you got to leave these ideas, and somebody has to champion that and get it in, right? Because I'm great at coming up with ideas. Yeah. I'm horrible at execution, right? Yeah. You have to have that in your team.
Yeah. No, and that's when we were talking ownership. I mean, I think that's where things got really good for us.
Yeah.
Like, partnership is difficult in a lot of businesses. I think over the years, every owner down here is trying to treat our relationship as partners, almost like we're married.
Yeah. Well,
a lot of us are in marriage counseling, and we take a lot of that stuff and we implement.
Amen. Right. Well, you think of it. I mean, when you're the amount of time you spend at home versus the amount of time you're in business, I mean, you probably communicate with your partners more than you do your spouse sometimes. Yeah. Right. I mean, just hours of the day, you're around them all the time.
100%.
Yeah.
It's
and I like how you said that you and Peanut kind of balance each other out, right? Yeah. Because that's where I've seen is my best partnerships is someone that's complementary to me. That's like, right. We don't need two gas, right? Yeah. We'll be out of business in 6 months, right?
Yeah. Well, you just start figuring out what everybody's lane is and what they're good at, and man, it takes time. It takes a ton of arguments. Yeah. And there were times way back. It's when it was me, Peanut, and my dad. Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure we had physical fist fights in the kitchen. Yeah. I mean, it was
after the beer.
Oh yeah, we were rolling around on the floor in the kitchen. It's like, I'm not
4 scoops, 6 scoops, 6 ounces, 4 ounces.
Luckily, I feel like those days are way behind us.
So did you eventually buy your dad out, or is he still involved?
Yeah, my dad, we bought him out on Father's Day. He was a full-time nurse. He was a little bit older than me and Peanut. So as a surgical intensive care nurse during COVID, man, he was getting his ass kicked. Yeah. And he came to us and was like, "Hey, I got 2 more years till I'm supposed to retire. I need out of here." Yeah. And so we sat down, we figured it out, and I think it's been good for him. He's been able to do all the stuff he wants to do. He's got a little motorcycle and travels around the country.
Oh, that's awesome. So one of the things is scalability. We talk about that a lot on here, and it's actually a topic we want to do just a podcast on it. But early on, you had mentioned bringing in some to get off the ground. You brought in some money guys. Do you feel comfortable talking about that? I mean, you don't have to name names, but you had kind of brought in some capital and paid them back and had an agreement, because we talked a lot about that too, right?
So let me start by telling you our first experience with the bank.
Okay.
So when we started, I had a 400 credit score. Peter had a 400 credit score. About $17 in the bank.
There you
go. And we knew the East Bank was happening, and it was like, hey, we got this great idea. The Horseshoe wants to do like player point swaps with us and stuff. That. So we're like, we have to do this. So we went down the road of looking for investors, and we started building something. I think we had about half of what we thought it was going to take, kind of on the hook.
Yep.
Now looking back, we weren't even close.
Yeah.
The build out is
whatever you think is going to cost times 3. Exactly.
But we started going down that road. Thank God came in and said, "Hey, that's not going to work for you."
Yeah.
So we decided going through the bank was going to be best option for us. And when we very first started, we had to get from the bistro into being bankable.
Yeah.
So we went to every bank, asking every single bank in town,
because they want to see income.
Hey, yeah. So
or if you're not a personal guarantor, you got to have income.
We got a great idea. We need $2 million. Dude, I'm not going to name any names, but there's a banker who wants our business now that laughed so hard at her little rolly chair she fell out.
Yeah.
It was rough. Every bank told us no.
Oh yeah.
We were headed to a food truck setup, and we were passing Progressive Bank on Fern Avenue. And we're like, dude, we haven't been in that bank. And Peanut's like, man, we're not going in there. They're going to say no too. And I was like, dude,
They're progressive. It's on their name. Come on.
I was like, bro, we got to try.
Yeah.
Peanut,
That's the most progressive bank in town.
Peanut,
so.
Peanut's in the passenger seat, so he's drinking beer.
Yeah.
And he says, well, let me finish my beer in parking lot. And I was like, screw it, man, bring it in. So he brought his entire 30-pack of beer, and we walked in the bank like that.
Okay.
And we said, hey, we need to talk to somebody about a loan. And this girl, and now I may have heard it, Heather Reiser, said, look, Shane Blythe is the banker.
I know Shane.
He's in that office right there. Y'all can go talk to him. So we walked in, and Peanut puts a 30-pack of beer on his desk. And he's like, what the fuck are y'all doing? And we said, look, man, everybody else already told us no, but we thought we'd at least get to know you.
Yeah.
He's like, look, I'm not, like, I can't give you $2 million. He's like, and y'all's credit sucks. He's like, but we can figure out a way to give you enough money for a crawfish trailer and for a catering van. So he started loaning us that. He said, look, make this more important than anything else. Pay this off very, very quickly. I think we paid it off in 4 months.
Nice.
And at that point, we had built a relationship with a bank president that could see some of our vision. So he was able to help us a little bit financially with that. We were able to make a deal with one private investor, and we gave up a lot for a little just to get over the hump when we opened. I think we gave 5% of gross for the first year at Bojack's. I mean, we're talking for $60,000.
Yeah.
And then 1% in perpetuity after that. So 5% are for a year or until we pay you back. I'm pretty sure that flipped quite a bit of money in the first year.
Yeah.
We paid him back
Quick.
very quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to pay that one every month.
Oh, yeah.
Because we would not be where we were without it.
Gotcha.
Then after that, I think where we still didn't have the collateral.
Now, how did it work? Because y'all didn't own the building either,
We
right?
did not.
And so how did that work, y'all?
We were leasing that from Rick Avery. I don't really feel comfortable talking about what all went down.
Yeah.
He was going through a tough time.
Yeah.
And while he was going through a tough time, I think he kind of needed some cash. So he came to us. I think we were paying $4,500 a month rent. I was like, hey, I need more cash than this. And I'm like, well, look, man, we're actually doing decent business. I think we can get to $7,000 a month if that helps you. But we want it to be an owner finance deal. And so we set it up as owner finance, where we started working towards owning the building. We had that
What year was
contract.
this? I'm sorry.
Maybe 2019.
2019.
4 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
5 years ago, yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
So that building, we went from $4,500 to $7,000 a month in rent. And when we did the contract, we didn't know anything about writing contracts or anything. But the lease to own that we had didn't have any type of early out clause in it, where it wasn't set up as a tax shelter for him. So we didn't realize when we paid on it for like a year, we could take that contract. I think the contract was we were going to pay $700,000 for the building over 15 years.
Yeah.
Well, we took that back to the bank. We said, hey, what can we do with this? And they're like, well, we think your building appraises for way more than that, which it did. It appraised for like $1.3 million. So we turned around and said, hey, what we've been paying is now our down payment. It self-collateralizes. And boom, we got an $800,000 equity hit. And now we had borrowing power. And so what we've done since then is we've been able to leverage some of that to open the other things up, and then we just aggressively pay everything down. And so as the volume keeps coming in, like we're making that our focus. It's more important for us to own all the property than
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Not bad.
Good
for
stuff.
A bunch of people don't know anything about anything.
Yeah, man. Have you seen the TV out there? Massive TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was from COVID.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you want to talk about like poor financial planning that just and how things just work
Yeah.
out for us. So during COVID,
I remember
They-
the first restaurant, by the way, the first restaurant I ate at after when we opened back up was Frozen Piro.
yeah,
Because it was outside,
yeah,
right? And I remember you brought us the food.
Yep.
Because it had to be, you had to go up to the counter and order.
Yeah.
And then you had to bring it to go and sit it on the thing. And you said, you said, yeah, hey, look right there, they're watching us because y'all were like the first restaurant to open, and there was like there were troopers right out in the parking lot just looking at them to break the rules.
yeah,
yeah, it was
Every
crazy.
agency in the state was here. But it's just that was a weird time, man.
Oh, it's so weird.
But the TV you're talking about,
Yeah.
and this is kind of how the whole venue in the back happened. I'm just gonna give you the whole COVID story.
Yeah, let's
it's
do it.
good.
Let's
All
do
right,
it.
So
We're here for it.
we had to lay off every employee. We put them on a patio at P Row. There's 93 people in front of us, and we're telling them, look, we don't know what's fixing to happen. We just know if we're not making money, we can't pay you. And there's nothing for you to do. So as of today, we're laying everybody off. But this is what we're gonna do. We'll come in, we'll do this curbside delivery, and whatever we make, we'll just divide evenly between all 93 of y'all. And it wasn't gonna be anything. But that's what we did. So management came in, we started working the curbside delivery. Then my dad called me and he said, hey, we're getting our ass whipped in the hospital. I said, we're not doing anything, we're gonna send you some food. Well, that sparked an idea. We ended up doing a Jerry Lewis style telethon inside of Bojack's. So we had 3 tables that we set up as phone banks, and then we had a big dry erase board that we put up, and we had this little purple wheel that my old landlord gave us. You could spin. It was a basket.
Yeah.
And so
Like a bingo thing.
yeah,
Like a bingo.
Yeah, so we took little slips of paper and we wrote every wing of every hospital, and we folded it up and put it in there, and then me and Peanut for like 5 hours talked on Facebook Live, and we were salesmen, man. It was like, hey, if you give us $5, $10, $15, $150, it doesn't matter. As soon as we get to $150, we're gonna send a $250 catering package out to a wing of a hospital, and we're gonna feed these frontline responders that are getting killed right now. And we're taking phone calls and we're showing everybody the phone bank, and then the phone would ring, somebody would pick it up. Well, we raised thousands of dollars, and we told them this is only going to cover food costs and it's going to put one employee back to work. And we stayed 100% true to that, and every bit of that came in, we hired all of our staff back. So no business coming in the door, nothing for our staff to do. But we hired our entire staff back for 1 month. So it's like, hey, we bought y'all 1 more month with this thing.
Yeah.
And we fed every wing of every hospital in town.
Did you really? That's
yes,
awesome.
no, it's cool. We ended up
cool story.
feeding the fire departments, police departments. So then we're sitting there with nothing to do, and all this staff, people just sweeping the floor, just hanging out. We had a daycare set up in the back for everybody to bring their kids up there. It's probably not what we were supposed to be doing.
Yeah, probably not.
but we did it anyway. And
Here, play with this 2.5 ounce scoop.
yeah. No, I mean, it's we're just winging it, man. We've never done this before.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And, so we get a phone call, and it's from the National Guard. So the National Guard is out there trying to find somebody to feed them while they're doing all this testing and stuff. So when they called us, they were like, hey, y'all are the only people with a staff. Can we pay y'all $600,000 to feed us lunch and dinner for while we're doing this? And we're like, yeah, perfect. So so that's what we did. We sat here and we fed the National Guard.
And for what was that time period?
Man, it was 1.5, 2 months, something like that.
Wow.
And so, I mean, it was substantial.
Yeah.
But it's what they wanted, and we had the staff to do it. And I think we just got lucky by we did something that we thought was right and good for somebody else, and I've always felt like that's God turning around and doing the tenfold thing.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
But we get this money, right? And it's very uncertain times. And I think this is where I tell you being dumb is a positive thing.
A little naive, huh?
Yeah, man. I think most people would have been like, hey, let's sit on that money. Let's put it in our pocket. Let's weather the storm. See what we get. Well, we called the city. And we said, hey, this is open container space. How much of this outdoor space, now that they're opening it up where you can eat outside, how much can we use? And they said, you can use the entire block, whatever you want to use. So we went to Ruston, we went to Longview, we bought every picnic table you could find anywhere. And so we lined them all down the bike lane, and then we lined them all down the back alley, in between the crack house and the buildings. And we said, we'll just spread them out, and we'll just serve everybody outside. So we start doing that, and then everybody's like, man, this is great, but it'd be awesome if we could watch TV or watch football. Football season's right here. We're just coming right around the corner. Yeah. So we bought the biggest TV you could buy. we went and bought an LED wall that we had to have flown in from China. So this is what we're doing with our money. We bought a crack house, and we bought a 318 inch TV.
There you go.
It's I don't know, such a dumb move. But
it's pretty awesome.
It worked. Yeah. We ended up knocking that house down. So we ended up with this big field behind us. And then Alabama LSU was always a big game down here. But this year during COVID, everybody wanted out. They wanted a place they could go watch it. And so, dude, at that point, we had never been that busy.
Yeah. I think I remember you sending, I think I remember you like being on the rooftop taking a picture of everybody that was there, because it was just like 1,000 people there.
The problem was the street that runs behind us, all the rednecks come in and they back their truck up, and they got their tailgate down, and they started their own tailgate party. And so everybody's got coolers and they're all drinking. I'm like, dude, this ain't working. We're supposed to be selling that beer.
Yeah.
It's so we also built a fence back there. We ended up with this big space that was fenced in, and it just looked weird. And it was like, what are we going to do with that? So we went to Guitar Center, and we said, we're going to start with a small stage. We put 2 drum risers together. We put a 10 by 20 tent on top of it. We strung Christmas lights on it. And so we took 2 EV15 speakers and a 18-inch JBL sub. We bought a little Behringer X32 mixing board that we didn't know how to use. Yeah. Well, none of the musicians had any place to play. Yeah. So we're outside, and we start getting these phone calls. And, dude, I think we ended up paying Jason Boland almost nothing.
I was going to say, they probably didn't want money. They just wanted to go play.
Yeah, we paid the Stillwoods almost nothing. So we start getting all these big regional acts, and they're playing on the worst stage they've ever played on in their entire career. But everybody started hanging out, and it started.
You said it was a 10 by 20?
Yeah, man.
What's the smallest stage Tyler Reed performed on? Can you think?
A mobile home. In a mobile home.
In a mobile home.
Yeah. Well, I think we got half a year of that in, and then after COVID, man, we went back to the bank. We said, look, we think this live music thing has got legs. Yeah. But if we're going to do it, we're going to do it all the way out. Yeah. And so we built a massive
it's amazing.
There it is. Yeah. The roof goes up and down.
Yep. I remember one show we came to, and a big storm was coming through, and you're like, those speakers are leased. They can't get wet.
Oh yeah. I was like,
ugh.
Yeah, they're all waterproof.
I was like, hey, I'm here to have fun. Don't put your stress on me.
Yeah, no, they're all waterproof now.
There you go. So
if anybody's getting into business, just get ready to just hand your wallet over. And just everybody thinks we're a printing press. But dude, if I can tell you how much money we got to spend all the time. It's
So a couple questions. Look, I can come up with 100 questions for you, because honestly, this is an incredibly fascinating story. And it stems so much from, I think, your creativity. Like, I'm seeing somebody who's just very creative on the fly. In all these circumstances, it seems like you come to it with this idea of, I can figure this problem out.
There's a problem. Yeah, we have a solution.
We can figure it out. But I wanted to ask you, with all these businesses, you've got a bunch of different models, right? So there's a restaurant model, There's a more of a beer, a bar type model, everything from a stage to a music model to a lease space model. Of all of these, what are your favorites just by way of, I like this business the best? They're all your kids, right? But what kid do you like the best?
Man, so I love that in the beginning of the East Bank, there was a big argument over if it was going to be the East Bank market or the East Bank district. And when I tell you, it got to be like this heated battle. And Doug, my partner at Bayou and Frozen Piro, came in and was like, hey, we'll just be the East Bank Mafia. And it started as a joke, and then it kind of became like a little marketing thing, and then it's like, well, hey, we can do something where we can put the music calendar all together in one place. Somewhere in all that, like, we don't look at them as a bunch of different businesses. Like, it's like, for example, like, Doug doesn't have any ownership in Bo Jackson. We don't have any ownership in Bayou. But you will see all of us cross paths, and Doug will walk in and he'll check on management. He'll throw his 2 cents out there. We'll do the same thing for him at Bayou. The whole block is one business.
Yeah. And the success feeds off each other, right?
No, I think so.
If one person has an event going on and it's going to bring, or if you have a private event, or if you have a concert, all the businesses are going to see an uptick.
Do you remember Pam Glorioso?
Oh yeah.
All right. So Pam was a city planner. At one point when we were thinking about doing this, we walked into her office, and she did the same thing everybody else did. She's like, man, these kids, they're just kids. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But I went in and talked to her, and we were kids and we were dumb, and I didn't have the vocabulary for a lot of this.
Yeah.
And she kept talking about synergy, and dude, I went home. I was like, synergy. Like, I really want to understand what she's talking about, and it stuck with me, man. And I think it kind of stuck with all the owners, where it's, man, if we can just build that, like, the rest of the stuff will take care of itself. And it's true. Like, the idea down here is not to be competitive with each other. It is fill the giant parking lot that's in the back, and then let the customer just you can't eat the same place 7 days a week. But if they're in the habit of coming and parking their car at the East Bank, and it's like, hey, we can't decide. I get in a fight with my wife all the time. Well, used to, when we ate out. We would get in a fight about where we were going to go. And it was just a big ordeal. We're jabbering about it even while we're going to the place. Like, it's just easier if it's, we're going to give you every option we can give you. Y'all just come down here, and then you can figure it out. And then there's
and it's the opposite of a scarcity mindset too, right? And just being territorial and just thinking, oh well, because that's why I see a lot of businesses fail or plateaus. They take their eye off of what really matters, and it's like, well, there's not going to be enough business. If they're successful, that means that I'm going to be a failure. And
one thing that I don't like is, like I said, that whole East Bank Mafia thing kind of came in as a joke. And I don't think we knew that, like, us just putting stuff out there on the calendar like that was going to look like this. But I feel like it splintered. It's not the right message I want for the block. Because here's the thing: is Flying Heart works with us very well. We do a lot of things together. El Patio, and the deal is we just all have shared ownership in here. So the day-to-day operations, we're treating that like one business. And so for us, it's like, I don't want to put on a business card, like, all the places that I got, like, man, like East Bank Mafia Hospitality. Just put that on there. And we'll get like
a Facebook. It's like owner of, partner in.
And I think my dream is, like, and I would give up our website, do whatever. Like, I want that to be more inclusive. What I hope happens is the East Bank District and the boardwalk, as it's got all this life coming into it, that they connect. we do like a big city, and
the new casino is going to be great too.
Yeah,
Texas Live. Yep. It's going to be awesome.
And then there's a inner city connector with all that. I mean, you go to a big town, they have that. Wow.
So at one time, and I thought this was a great idea, but one time the discussion was, let's run that boardwalk trolley that does a loop. Margaritaville. Nobody's fixing that thing. Yeah. But then I remember Bump Skaggs one day, he goes, hey man, I know somebody that owns the this 100-year-old World's Fair gondola system. Okay. He's like, it's in storage. What if we had that running between the East Bank and Margaritaville? Of course, I'm like, that's amazing. I don't know the liability of it. That'd been pretty cool.
Like, there are a lot of conversations that I think that general public doesn't see on what that is. I know the Tourism Bureau is working it.
You're part with that now, right? You're a government official. Is that what we're calling you?
For 3 days I was.
Oh, you didn't.
I was misinformed, man. I got a phone call. I got a phone call asking me to do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I love to. I'm already on the steering committee for the Tourism Bureau, but. So they're like, well, you got to come into city council, you got to get confirmed. And then I did all that.
Yeah.
And then the following Monday, the Tourism Bureau comes in and they're like, hey, man, this is like, if you own more than 25% of something, it would be a conflict of interest, and then we can't do anything with you. Yeah. And look, the Tourism Bureau is very valuable for us. So I made a phone call back to the city. I was like, hey, y'all didn't tell me this was a requirement, so I will help y'all however I can. I want to be as involved as possible. I'll be an advocate. But I need to be able to use the Tourism Bureau as a business.
Yeah, so. There you go.
So public office for 3 days.
Yeah. But you still have, and I think that what you do have, which is good, is you've built a good relationship with the people in some of the decision making with the local government, and you're able to go in and give some ideas. And
there are, it's what I love the most about Bossier City is access to your officials.
Oh yeah.
Like it is very nice to be able to go and voice my opinion. Now we may not all agree all the time.
Yeah.
But I do know that I'm heard, and I do know that there's like it seems like everybody has the same they all have the same goal of where we want to get to.
That's right.
And just everybody has
and they make it,
want to get there.
I mean, there's obviously hoops you have to jump through, but it's pretty easy, right? And so, like, when you call, like, I love having access to Carlotta. We need to have her on here, by the way, but she's just awesome. She knows everything, and she'll just tell you, hey, this is what you need to do. This is where it needs to be. It's not like, in other cities that are close to us, it's like, well, you got to call these 5 departments, fill out an application at everyone, pay a fee at everyone.
It's very streamlined.
Yeah.
It is very, it feels like there's one unified mission.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's do you have anything next in the future? I mean, I know you're like, I'm not sure we're doing anything here. Do you have anything you can talk about? What does the next 5 or 10 years look like?
Man, we're playing around with some stuff on the side that's a little more passive. Like I said, construction and then restarting a whole restaurant is.
We've already talked about that. No more startups. I'm gonna wear that. I'm gonna make a shirt. No more startups.
Suck, and I need the time with my kids. Right that's my personal thing. Sure. I think all the other owners are kind of the same way. Man, they're kind of enjoying different parts of life. But there's things we're working on. Like in all this, we've developed some products. We've developed a gluten-free gumbo. Like we mass produce that and red beans, and so we're working with Cisco on kind of expanding what that looks like, selling to other restaurants and moving across the country.
Yeah, man.
We've talked about franchise stuff.
Yeah.
A bunch of times. We've been offered a bunch of stuff to do it. I think we have a scalable restaurant. I don't like. We expended an extreme amount of energy from 2015 until now, and I think we're coming up for a breath from it. And so
that's cool.
Now, My kids get out of high school, they get in that age where they're like, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
There may be something after that. I don't know.
How do you, let's talk into that, because we've talked a lot about that on the podcast too, is just that the balance, right?
Yeah.
With the work-life balance. How do you, because I feel like most in this podcast is really for business owners, it's our target is, how do you avoid getting to a place where you feel like your business is controlling you? You're not controlling the business, right?
Yeah. We've been fortunate to hire a really good management team that takes a whole lot of ownership on what they do. It was very hard to let go of some of that stuff for a while, and it's nice to see that. They always tell you hire somebody smarter than you. Like, it's like, man, why was I holding on so tight to this? These people are actually more capable than I am at this.
Yeah.
And so we've been blessed with that. The big piece in keeping your sanity and keeping the balance. So what I did, and what me and my wife actually did as a couple, is we sat down and we just wrote out. We each had a page, and it was like, we're going to write out all 50, 60 things that we want personally over the next 20 years. And then when we got done, I went to both pieces of paper, and I went to line 3 and I drew a line. And we said, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to focus on the top 3 on this list, because you put them down first. And we're going to master that. When we get done with that and we feel comfortable with that, and your heart's not racing every day, then we'll go to number 4.
I like it.
It works.
So how much has been crossed off?
To be honest with you, we're really enjoying being small. Like I go to work. I'm on 5. My number 5 was get healthy.
Dude, you are healthy.
It's working on it.
Yeah. But talk about that. What did you change, or what goals did you set up?
Well, dude, I didn't really set them up.
Well, let's talk about the results. When did you start the health journey?
So look, I kept losing my grip strength, and I couldn't figure out what's going on.
Okay.
I thought I had arthritis. Went to the doctor. They did some blood work. They said, hey, you have low T. So I was like, okay, well, let's fix that, because this shit sucks. So I got like a little half dose of TRT, and then I had some energy, and I was like, oh man, I don't want to lay on the couch all day. And so I tried to become a runner. I was like, let me just run and get some of this out. And man, I had an old injury on my shin that made me not step the same, so I hurt myself. And so then we went and bought some dumbbells, and I was like, well, I'll just move some dumbbells in the guest bedroom. All of a sudden that turned into a garage gym. Now we built this giant gym in my backyard. My wife is she's a wellness bodybuilder. She's been doing it for a while now. She meal preps, does all that stuff. So we just built a gym. It's like, hey, I'm not comfortable going to a gym. I see people all day, every day. I don't want to go to the gym and talk to people. I want to go home and hide out.
There you go.
And it's become something we do as a family. Like my son is out there trying to become an NFL football player.
I heard there was an injury at your gym.
Oh yeah, I told him how to sit on.
Some of our best friends, their son was there with them. It was
Jack,
traumatized. Yeah,
bro. There's a squat rack in there. And it's got these safety bars that are on it, and it's got the little poles that spin on it. I walked in there and he's sitting on it, and I'm like, hey man, this thing moves. Like, let's don't sit on that. And I was like, okay. Well, the next day I'm on the phone. I'm outside the gym. Jack comes running out. I heard this crash. Jack runs out. He's got a little bit of blood on him, and he's screaming. He's like, Hayden's bleeding everywhere. And dude, I walked in, and my son is covered in blood. Whole front of his shirt, whole back of his shirt. I can't figure out what's going on. And so I just scoop him up. I run in the kitchen. I kind of figure out it's coming from his head. Well, he was sitting on that damn bar, and it spun out from under him, and he hit his head. Well, his head just bleeds.
Yeah.
But, you know, I grabbed a towel, throw it on the back of his head. I was like, do not move this. And he looks up at me, he's like, am I going to die? And I'm like, it's like, no, dude. Like,
that's funny.
Something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But that's what I'm working on now. Like, it just
health.
I abused my body.
Yeah.
We didn't eat. We worked 20 hours a day. We just dealt with stress all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I owe my body a little bit of life.
That's awesome. It's good stuff. You do home gym?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
Absolutely love it. Love it. I like what you said. You don't want to see people at the gym. You just want to get in there.
Yeah. No, it's like like y'all deal with this too, man.
Oh, yeah.
It is just people know you and they want to talk about what's going on. It's as a business podcast. Like, man, I gave my phone number out when we were on the food truck.
I know.
My phone number is on the ticket at Bojack's. Then I started booking bands, and my number got around for that.
Yeah.
Like, every morning when I open my phone, I've got 2,500 to 3,000 missed text messages.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you do with this? And you want to be respectful.
So what do you do?
Owner,
you still have the same number?
Man, I try. I'm trying my best to just as I get people.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you got to call him for this.
Yeah. That's been my big thing with my coaches, and you don't want to sound like a jerk, but limiting the access people have to you.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what's tough is the bigger you get, the more people want access to you.
Bro, when the phone is ringing at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's like, this is a problem. And then that's the other thing is like, we preach this to everybody is, man, we're going to keep the guest first. Guest is like, you have to live by that. If you want a successful business, the people who pay the bills are the people choosing to do business with you. Yep. And you always have to have your face on for that. It's like, and I've talked to my counselor about it. We talk about being a mask. Yeah. And it's like, I love the fact that I get to wear that mask and be that person. Yeah. But when I get home, I cannot wait to take it off and sit down and be real. And my opinion matters. What I think, somebody's listening to it. It's
I was talking to somebody that yesterday, you know, I feel like just looking, and I'm on the outside looking in. I mean, I go to a lot of restaurants, but I don't run them. But I feel like that's really the make or break is when the focus in the service industry, when the focus shifts to just the bottom line and not the customer experience is when it just starts going downhill. And that's kind of like that, you know, the Jack Welch GE mindset is like, let's be efficient in every area, but it does. Man, it's at the expense of the
we spent
customer.
This whole week talking about that.
Yeah,
it's like we're all humans, and so we're all going to kind of have a lot of the same behaviors, but we've fallen in the trap, and it's time for us to turn back around and re-engage. It is like it's to be a successful business. I think you have to really be good at self-accountability. I think you have to just be conditioned to look in the mirror and say, this is what we don't do right. And it's not easy. A lot harder than most people think that it is, because you're going to catch yourself falling victim to getting comfortable. Yeah. And there's nobody there to kick you in the ass. You have to kick your own ass.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, you know, for those that struggle with self-awareness, you know, at times, I think it's even, you have to have people around you that can call you out on it or, you know, bring it to light. And that's a hard place to get to.
So listen, again, this has been awesome. I thank you for the time, because obviously you're a busy guy. I got one last question, because we always, I got a music background. We end up chatting about music every once in a while. So the stage, that feels like a wild thing to do. Yeah. Like, what's your thought process going into that stage? Like, how does it, obviously it's a part of a bigger thing.
So there's a couple things. We very much felt like musicians. I can't play a note. I can't, like, I'm not musically inclined, but I know the grind that a band goes through. Yep. We took that little food truck all over the country. We slept on that thing. We did it for no money. Mm-hmm. We lived the rock star lifestyle on a food truck. So a big piece of it is we really appreciate the people who are out there playing music and doing that. They deserve a place to come to and get a breather, and we make it a big deal to treat them right and treat the smallest musician like they are the biggest star when they walk in here.
Yeah.
We like doing that. That's the hospitality background in us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of it. And then, like I said, the progression of the block, what we noticed is as something new opened up every time, every other place got busier. Mm-hmm. And it was that building of synergy. So the newness is a thing.
Yeah.
Well, when you run out of real estate and it's like, hey, we don't have any room to build anything else. There's not a new building coming to keep people engaged. We need the flashy, shiny thing to keep people engaged. And music is a great thing for that.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, just little things that pique your interest. Because, man, our menu is going to be the same.
Yeah.
We'll make minor changes here and there, but the menu is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't want to be a stagnant business. And so music we thought was a really good way to just keep people engaged.
Yeah.
And now we're not just doing music. Friday night we're doing our first fight night out here.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's we've done Vicky's dance up there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a great space, all ages, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's outdoor, it's all ages. The sound is amazing.
Yeah,
it's great sound.
Yeah.
So just a really cool, unique place that, it's usually when I travel to other cities, I'll be at a place like that and be like, man, why can't we have this?
Yeah.
And we do have something like that now.
It's been so we've done it a few years now, but I really enjoyed it. A couple weekends ago, I had my favorite band here, and they're just down to earth people. Like,
who's this?
Goodbye June is my favorite.
Yeah.
June,
band.
okay, nice.
And they're just super down to earth. I know way back when we were on the food truck, me and Peanut used to always joke about one day we're getting Stoney LaRue and we're putting him in the corner and he's going to play music in the corner for us. Well, Stoney LaRue's never going to do that.
Yeah.
But we were able to put him on stage
that's awesome.
a couple of years ago. And,
yeah.
I don't know. The stage gets to be a reflection of who we are and what we are, like what we enjoy.
Yeah.
And then it's a great break when you've been on the grind all week long.
Yep.
And then dinner time kind of ends on Friday and Saturday, and we can't run around and go do stuff everywhere else. So we get our little break too. We're watching the music with y'all.
Can you even count how many people? Like, what's your estimate of your biggest crowd?
All right, so capacity wise, we can hold about 2,100 people out there, and I think we've been at the 2,000 mark probably 30 times.
Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
I mean, we're stuffing it in there.
Are you do you want to make a request on, like, a formal request on air? I have a request.
Come on,
go for it.
I want POD.
All right, so
dude, all ages.
So
POD, let's do it.
So here's the deal. My pastor is really good friends with him.
Let's do it.
Sonny went and did water wells with Justin in Honduras.
Okay.
And so that phone call has been made a couple of times, and we have kicked
only
around.
If Justin's band Open Eyes is going to open for him.
Yeah,
so.
like we're working on it. It's getting the dates to line up. It's hard.
I'm there.
He's coming all the way from California.
That's awesome.
They're not out touring like they used to.
Yeah.
Right. But we're trying to find a way to figure that out.
Your request?
I'd have so many.
I mean, selfishly, I would love to have a tragedy Tyler Reed, reunion.
Listen, I would love it. That's going out to Adam and Jackie right now.
Right now, let's put this together. 2024, let's do it.
Yeah. Jackie's been telling me we're doing it again.
Hey, let's do it.
It's they tacked on a show right after the Alabama LSU game,
like a last minute thing,
and it was great, man.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Let's do it.
So I say let's do it.
Yeah. Cool. So shout out to East Bank Mafia. So now East Bank Mafia is an actual thing. Y'all do like a weekly update, like a video. Y'all throw out the social media of what's coming up.
there's just with all these businesses, there's so much going on. You take drink specials, you take hours of operation. I mean, you got Sugar Show involved with all this. Like, each individual page does a pretty good job of putting all the information out. But if you want a centralized place to just if I park my car in the East Bank, what's happening?
What's going on that night?
So we do an East Bank Mafia Minute, comes out every Monday. And it's a pretty similar setup to this that we do downstairs. Me and Peanut. It's really 2 or 3 minutes long, and it talks about all of that. And it's so you know what if we throw a band name out there and you're not familiar with it, we're going to tell you what kind of music it is. Anything new, like we've got the fight night this weekend. We talk about that.
Yeah. So cool. So that's the place.
It's helpful
for food, drink specials, everything going on every business.
So that's available on every one of our platforms, pinned to the top of the page on Facebook.
Okay.
We have a YouTube channel for Hurricane Alley Live, and you can subscribe to that thing. It's a great way to do it. And we also have a website, which is eastbankmafia.com, which has the calendar of music for Frozen P Row, Seventh Tap, Bojack's, and Hurricane Alley. There's music happening down here 5 nights a week. Well, 6 nights a week now. Monday's about the only night we don't do music.
There you go. Let's throw some karaoke up. You know,
I'm down. we're always down to add stuff. That is the one thing about this block is when we were talking about the vision early on.
Yeah.
We had such a loose vision. We have just literally tried to listen to what everybody wants.
Yeah.
And
cool.
And we're not very responsible with money, so when you ask us to do something, we're
Usually
probably going to spend the money and do it.
That's cool.
So just in closing, man, first off, you've been awesome. Thank
you. Yes,
man.
awesome.
And I think there's like the plight of the mid-sized city is something like we experience here in Shreveport Bossier, which is, you know, this feeling, you know, you grow up here, sometimes it's like, yeah, you know, Shreveport Bossier kind of sucks, and I'll go to Dallas and they've got all this great stuff. Well, really, the honest truth is that it's on us. You know, it's on the people who live here to make this a place that's worth being. So I want to thank you for all the work you've done here in this East Bank district, because it's incredible.
I appreciate it, and here's the deal. I got tabbed as the operating partner, and in the very beginning, Peanut didn't want to be on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Like somehow, like I've been put in the position where it seems like I'm the face
of it. Yeah.
But man, I'm only the face, man. It's my whole team. It's crazy good. I mean, but ownership, man. It's Peanut. It's Doug. It's Brian. It's Brittany running Chef's Table. It's John running production and all that stuff. And then everybody that they work with under them. Yeah. Like I just get to do the cool shit like I've been talking about.
Love it. What's the one show you're most excited about coming up?
Oh man, this weekend. So we had these guys last year. It's Saturday night. We got Rise Against the Machine. It's a Rage Against the Machine tribute band. We have a lot of really good tribute bands coming here. Yeah. But when I tell you they dress the part, act the part, sound identical, it is high energy.
There you go. Well, this podcast won't come out for a couple weeks, so maybe we can rip that out and put a reel up to give you a little promo.
That's it. Well,
I mean, our moms listen to it. They want to know about that one.
Yeah.
Have you had the red Hot Chili Peppers yet?
I have. No, we had. Sorry. So I get confused.
Okay, you had a different one.
I think we had the Red Hot Ghost Peppers.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. Cool. All right. Anything else?
No, man. This is great.
Good stuff. Thanks, Beau.
Awesome. Thanks,
all right,
guys.